Be the change you want to see in the world. There's a sign on my wall over there that says, "Be the change you want to see in the world." And when I got it, I really loved it. I thought it was really something cute that I could put up in my room that was just nice. But lately, it's been having a deeper meaning to me. For probably the past year or so, maybe more, I have tried to live by a philosophy that being kind to people and just trying every day to make someone's day, to just be a light in their life or in their day, at least just to be a kind example to someone every day. That's just been how I've tried to live my life for the past year or so. I haven't always succeeded at that, and it's been difficult, but it's been so rewarding as well, and I feel like it's become a huge part of who I am, especially after taking interpersonal communications and public speaking classes. It's just become increasingly more of who I am. I am someone who is imperfect, who is human, who has flaws, who has insecurities, as well as things that I'm proud of, skills, abilities, whatever. I'm human. I'm just like anyone else. And I just have seen lately that I can choose to be an example to people. And I'm not saying an example like someone who's prideful and saying, "Oh, I live the perfect life and you need to live like me or you're not living right." What I'm saying is, I can choose to be someone who is an example of kindness, an example of patience, of communication, and of genuine courtesy. I can be a good friend. I can choose to be someone who is not only in need of support from others, and I can choose to be someone who supports others, who encourages them in their skills and in their aspirations, in their desires for the future, in their goals. I can encourage them, I can love them, I can guide them, I can be there for them. I can choose to be that for someone else. And I've found that God is my true source for stability. He is my foundation, and He is my rock. He is the one thing I know I can count on for the rest of my life. When I don't have anyone to rely on, I know He will be there, and I know He is there. As anyone else would, I really appreciate when people genuinely care about me and care about my abilities and my aspirations and my dreams for the future. I really appreciate it when people do for me what I like to do for them, but I don't expect it. And I don't want to expect it. I want to live a life that respects me. I want to respect myself, but I also want my main focus to be on respecting and loving and caring about everyone around me, regardless of how I feel about that person individually. I want to be able to forgive past trespasses. I want to be able to move on past things that had once hurt me and once been a source of bitterness or a source of judgment in my heart. I want to be able to move on from that, and I know that I can. And I already have in a lot of ways. I feel like I don't really have many grudges anymore. I can't even think of one right now. If I do have one and I discover it soon, everything in me wants to deal with that and just get it solved, get it resolved, because since I was a little girl, for most of my childhood, I was a very, very bitter and very demeaning and manipulating person. I was awful to my siblings. I was awful to my cousins. I was awful to my parents especially. And I was not very considerate of my friends. I think I wanted to be a good friend, and I tried to be a good friend, but I had so many bad habits and so many things that I didn't realize were hurting people. And sometimes I even was aware that what I was doing was hurting people, and I did it anyway because it benefited me. A lot of what I did when I was a child was very selfish and very, very much for me and disregarding the needs and the wants of others, which I realize is a very childish thing to do, and it's very natural. But as I grew up, I continued in that behavior, and it took me a long time to get out of it, and I still admit that there's some parts of me that still struggle with that, and I'm working on that. But I only have God to thank for all the progress that I've made in my life in just a couple of years. I have come from being a shy yet manipulative and just destructive person who hated myself and didn't really, I cared on the inside, but I didn't really do much to show people that I cared for them. And most of what I did when interacting with people was very disrespectful. But in the last couple of years, I have come out of my shell. I have learned how to speak with people, how to communicate effectively, how to avoid conflict, and how to deal with conflict in a constructive and good way if it does come up that results in little or no harm. Emotional harm and physical, emotional harm. I have learned so much about how communication affects people, how body language affects people, how voice tone affects people, and how much of an impact my behavior and my perspective and my words even have on people. We all have incredible power that some of us are aware of and some of us are not aware of. We have power with our words and with our actions to influence people, to bring them down or to build them up. There's been so many Christian songs about words and how much of an effect they have on people. I'm sure there's secular songs that have things about that too. Words and actions have huge impacts on people. That sign on my wall today, be the change you want to see in the world. When I looked at it today, I had a new perspective. I actually got a little bit emotional when I saw it, because I have truly grown into a person who has that perspective. That statement means so much to me in a way that I wouldn't have thought that it would. I can be the change that I want to see in the world. And that change is kindness. I want to see kindness in this world. I want to see communication. I want to see people genuinely caring for everyone, for their neighbor, for their family, for themselves. I want to see a generation of courtesy, of generosity, and of respect. And I can be an example of that. Even if I don't change even one life, even if my behavior, my personality, and my lifestyle has no impact on anyone, that is who I want to be. I want to be that. And I would love to see the world change into that kind of a society in the future. Even if it doesn't, though, I can still be the change that I want to see in the world. I have gone through a lot in my life. I'm gonna be really, really honest and really vulnerable right now. When I was 3, I was hospitalized for 3 days for intense constipation. Really, really intense constipation. It may be funny to some of you guys, and that's fine. It's a funny topic. But for me, it was very real. And it was a kind of pain that no 3-year-old should have to experience. It was terrifying. It was traumatic. And it was just awful. It inhibited some of my it took away some of my childlike heart, some of my childhood was stolen because of that. I had to grow up in some areas more quickly than I would consider healthy.